When we arrived at that hotel, I was like, there's no way we're staying here. I mean, hey everybody, Mark and I are on our second week here in Da Nang, and I just wanted to give you a little update to let you know what our process was for finding a place to live. So I had researched Vietnam and Da Nang many years ago because it was somewhere we always wanted to visit, but I could never get enough time off from work to make that trip worthwhile in my working years. And so we just never got here. So last year was our first season in Da Nang, and it was pretty easy to come in. We stayed at a hotel and we put out feelers for a place, and we were able to find a place relatively easy, and it was pretty painless. The situation is completely different this year in January 2025. So before I get into the nitty-gritty about our finding a place, first let me talk a little bit about Da Nang. Because we're in a tropical climate and because we're now at the beach, the humidity here in Da Nang is very, very high, and that humidity stays high year-round. I'm talking probably in the 80-90% level of humidity throughout the year. And because we're at the beach, tropical climate, Da Nang as a whole is very damp. And when I say damp, I'm talking about inside of the dwellings. So when we first came to Da Nang on a quick recon trip at the end of 2023, I had booked a hotel off of Booking. It looked cute, it looked like it was in a good location, and when we arrived at that hotel, I was like, there's no way we're staying here. I mean, our plane arrived in the evening and we probably got to the hotel at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And I was just like, I cannot sleep here. I mean, it was at the end of rainy season. The room probably hadn't been stayed in for some time, hadn't been aired out, but it just had such a damp, musty smell. And that night, I literally went out walking around looking for a hotel for us to stay because I'm like, we can't stay here, for a week. It's just not going to be a nice trip. Anywho, I found a great hotel that we love, and we stayed there and everything worked out. But coming back, it's just a damp city with a lot of humidity, and there's a lot of maintenance that goes into taking care of those kinds of properties. So just keep that in mind and don't let it catch you off guard if you're coming and you can feel the dampness in a place. It has a musty smell. I mean, these are just really things you need to look out for. The next thing I want to say is that Da Nang is really on the come up. There are so many more people here this year than there were last year. I read an article in the Vietnamese Express this morning that basically said Vietnam had met its tourism goals for 2024, and those numbers were back up to pre-COVID levels of 2019, and they were hoping to exceed those numbers this year for 2025. And based on the number of people we've seen here in Da Nang, I don't think they're going to have any problem meeting or exceeding those numbers. Now, with that, there is a lot more competition for places, and places are probably listed at higher prices than they have been in the past. So the basic ways to find a rental in Da Nang are Facebook, Airbnb, or getting out there and walking around and see what's available. There are several Facebook groups devoted solely to finding places to live here in Da Nang. You can message hosts on Airbnb, or you can walk around and see what is available. Now, when you're looking at those Facebook groups, you're going to notice right away that the same places are going to be advertised by many different agents. You're going to see pictures of the same places, but the post is put up by someone else. So just kind of keep that in mind. There are a finite number of places, but you're going to have a lot of people jockeying to rent you those places. Okay, so talking about apartments versus Airbnbs versus hotels. So here in Da Nang, if you're familiar with Da Nang at all and the rentals that are available, there are small family-run hotels, there are some chain hotels, many independent hotels, there are a few large apartment buildings, and you also have houses that are available. And so first, let me talk about the large apartment buildings. One of the buildings I want to talk about is Altara Suites. So this is a building that we had really eyed last year and just weren't able to connect with anyone to get us to, we weren't able to connect with anyone to see an apartment there last year. But this year, I was determined, hey, we're going to look at this because it really looks like something that it looks like somewhere we would be interested in living. Now, granted, last year we never even went up to the location to see exactly where it was. But this year I reached out to a host on Airbnb and explained that we were in town and, could they show us a unit? We wanted to see one before booking there. Now, the units on Airbnb were being listed for over $500 a week. And, that's pretty pricey, especially for Da Nang. But the units, they were 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom units. The building is a Sheraton property. So we kind of wanted to see the units and see what we could negotiate as far as price went. So we got a chance to go up and tour the units, and we looked at, I think, 2 or 3 different units, and they were nice. Now, granted, when we looked at both units, they were turning those units because people had just checked out and housekeeping was literally in cleaning the units when we looked at them. I mean, this is how fast places are getting booked here. And we thought, yeah, this is somewhere we could see ourselves living for a while. It wasn't the best location in Da Nang, but it wasn't a terrible location by any means. And so when I reached back out to the host wasn't really interested in discounting the prices for those units. And so that was just too much for our budget, and definitely we felt like, and that was too much for our budget, and so we didn't end up taking a unit there. But that just gives you an idea of the pricing on some of those units. And last year, those Altara Suites units were not going at the prices that they're going this year. So for a month, you could probably rent one of those for like, I don't know, $1,700 US if you're lucky, if you could negotiate that price. But that's really the kind of prices we're talking about for those places. The next place I'm going to talk about is Sam Tower, and that is a new apartment building on the city side. It's even a little bit outside of the Hai Chau district, but a beautiful new building. We went and looked at a couple of places there, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, brand new, beautiful places. Our issue with that building was the location. The apartment in the building was perfect. There was nothing wrong with those apartments. In fact, they are absolutely beautiful. But they're really so far removed from not only the beach, but just everything we would want to do here. There was really nowhere to walk to. Everywhere you'd go from that location, you'd need to go on your motorbike. And so even though we loved the apartments we saw there, the location, it just didn't make much sense to put ourselves so far away from everything that we would need in our day-to-day lives. So after looking at those 2 large buildings and not having any luck, we also tried to find a place in the Muong Thanh building. The Muong Thanh building was actually where we were staying for the first week. It's a large apartment building. It's right in the center of the foreigner area in Da Nang. It's right across the street from the beach. Everything about that building is great, and that's why people love staying in that building. It's just that there wasn't anything available. I think if you want to stay in Muong Thanh, you have to book way in advance, and we just didn't do that. And so everything that we wanted to see was pretty much either booked up for the high season or really more than we wanted to pay. Muong Thanh has some really nice 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom units on really high floors with great ocean views. The prices, though, for what we wanted to pay were just beyond. You could probably get one of those for $1,400 USD a month, one of the really nice ones. There are other apartments in Muong Thanh building, and you just really have to take them on a case-by-case basis because there is a lot of variability with renovations, etc., things like that. So I spent a lot of time that first week we were here just really scouring my Google Maps, scouring reviews, scouring those Facebook groups, just trying to figure out trends, trying to figure out what was available, trying to figure out some of the patterns, like, okay, who was putting up listings just to lure people in with pictures of places that weren't really available, because there's always that when you're looking for an apartment. And so what I realized, based on what we wanted to pay and what we wanted in a place, we might be better off staying in a hotel. And so that's when I started really focusing on the smaller family-run hotels, and I also tried to focus on properties that were newer or had been renovated. And this really took a lot of work. It could be a painstaking process, because literally you're looking at Google Maps, you're reading a ton of reviews, and in my mind I'm thinking, okay, what places are we actually going to go look at to see what they're actually like? And I had found a few contenders, and just to be safe, I made a couple of bookings on booking.com. I love using booking.com because you can set the filters for free cancellation, no prepayment, and work within those parameters. And so we booked a couple of those, and then basically we just got out on foot and started walking around and looking at places. So basically we just wanted a place that was newer, and we wanted a king size bed, and we wanted a comfortable bed, because at many places here in Da Nang, just based on our experience, the beds can be pretty firm. And so after hitting the pavement, we finally found ourselves a hotel room, and that's where we are now. And we've booked that hotel room for a month because we gave up looking for an apartment for now, simply because it's high season, the pickings are slim, there are so many people competing for the same places, and we just really don't want to give up our value for money standards. Just because we're here in Da Nang, it doesn't mean we want to pay $2,000 a month for an apartment. I mean, we could do that somewhere else, right? So we're really happy with the hotel we found. It's run by a really nice family. It's in a really great location. Yes, we're in a hotel room. This is a new adventure for us. And actually, it's pretty good. We're right across the street from the beach. We have a little kitchenette. We have someone to clean our room every day, and our laundry is included. So it's given us peace of mind to be able to have found a place to stay for the next month at least, and give us time to think and kind of sort things out. So yeah, basically the moral of this story is don't show up to Da Nang in high season without some lodging pre-booked, and don't take it for granted that everywhere you look is going to be like the photos, because photos can't show you a lot of things. And know that there's a lot of competition for places right now, so be prepared to do your homework, to do a little legwork, because I do think there are a lot of good places out there to be found. I think there are a lot of places that are being built or renovated, and they're probably not that known yet, and you really have to get out there and walk around to find them. That's basically how we found the place that we are, and we're pretty happy with it. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.